had to learn. You know, when we were developing this country, the reason for investing is because we see the country growing. Numbers of people are growing, the wealth is growing, and therefore the demands will grow. Now, if the demands grow, we focus on what are the demands going to be. Transportation, certainly, more premises, more money available, more projects and things like that. This we have to have because we notice the country is growing and we learn from our mistakes before making a decision. Let's take the airport, for example, KLIA. It became obvious that when we went to Subang, we did not think very deeply about the future of air transportation. The growth in air transportation was so tremendous that the people who moved to Subang had made the wrong assumption that we would be handling 400,000 passengers a year. So we had Subang and we have one runway. Okay, that's enough. But the growth was such, by the time we decided to build a new airport, we were handling 14 million passengers in Subang. So if you are handling 14 million in that period of time, if you build another airport to handle 14 million, obviously it cannot last into the future. And then there is a problem of locating the airport. The town is growing and people don't like airports. They want to use the airport, but they don't like to have the airports in their backyard. Finding a place to put the airport is a big problem. So eventually we found an estate, and we thought that if we plan for the next 10 years, that's not enough. Because we had this experience with Subang. So we decided we'll think about 100 years from now, what will happen. Because if you don't locate it well and have sufficient land to expand, if you find that you cannot handle anymore, to find a new airport for Kuala Lumpur would be completely impossible. In 100 years, Kuala Lumpur is going to be about 3 times its size. So it will be expanding and expanding. And where are you going to get the land? You can get the land maybe in some place 150 miles away from the center of KL. That's not so good. So if you wanted to think about the future, you provide land so that you can expand in the future. And we decided that we'll build an airport that can cater for 125 million passengers, 5 runways, 2 these centers, and 8 satellites and things like that. It's thinking big, but it's all right because this is the future. They are going to build, not me. Of course, one thing we miss out entirely, at that time we never thought of low-cost carriers. No idea at all. So we built this on 25,000 acres of land. And that is examining the past, the future, the possibilities, taking everything into consideration before making a decision. The same thing applies to every project that we did. Penang Bridge, we knew more and more people are crowding. I have to stop to wait for the ferry. It took a long time. Obviously, the numbers are increasing. So you need a bridge. Of course, everybody said this is gila and all that. But we spent $800 million building that bridge. Today it's going to cost you how many billion? You see, it is forward thinking. To make a decision, you have to look at the back, the past, the future, and current. Then you make a decision. When you do that, even in banking, when you do that, you know the growth. The trend is there. Nowadays you keep data with graphs and all that. It's not too difficult to make a decision because you have the data. So if you allow yourself time to think and to think of the consequences, the downside and the upside, I think you can make a fairly good decision. Now, one thing that one has to accept about decisions is that all decisions have got downsides. All decisions are you never have a perfect decision. You want to do anything, there will be a downside. So if there is a downside, is it bearable? Can you handle it? All those things have got to be taken into consideration. Supposing we will fix the currency exchange rate, and we have no US dollar, and people want US dollar in order to import, we'll be in deep trouble. But we ensure that people who earn US dollar must put it in the local bank. You see? Then we have the money. And we guarantee that if you want US dollar, for 380 ringgit, you get one US dollar. And if you want to, you bring in US dollar and you want 380 ringgit, 380 ringgit, you can get, because we have the money. The savings in this country is fantastic. You know, it's about 40% of GDP. So we have a lot of money. It's a matter of handling the money, of knowing where the money is. How do you mobilize the money? How do you make full use of the money that we have? All these things you have to know. I'm sorry to say this, but a doctor is not really a suitable person to become Prime Minister. That is the downside. The upside is that doctors are supposed to be very methodical. And I learned that when I handle my patients, I need to know his history, his symptoms, and then I take measurements, temperatures, and then subject him to some special tests and all that, in order to reach a diagnosis. Once I reach a diagnosis, I know what medicine to prescribe. Maybe there are 3 different medicines. You can prescribe one or the other or the other. So that is very methodical. In solving problems, even political problems, I use that method. I look back, I ask for all the data that they can get. I put them through tests. Supposing you do this, what will happen? And you use models, past models, experience in the past. Then only you make a decision. And when you make a decision, always remember that it's not perfect. There will be downsides, and you must learn how to handle the downside. Thank you. There's another part of the question about developed young. Yes, the young people today have got more information than we ever had before. The question is sifting through the information, making use of the information. That is where we need to teach. The reason why Microsoft, Google, and Yahoo and all that succeed is because they make it easy. They give you an engine in order to identify what is it that you want. So all our life now, we will be fed with more information, but most of the information will be useless, even damaging, but you have to learn which information you want, whether it is good or not. So it is the process of eliminating. Again, it's like a doctor. He may have 3 diagnoses. Which one would be the one that fit? For the young people now, it is a question of being able to analyze, to recognize. They have all the information, no problem at all about information, but you must learn how to categorize things, how to analyze things, and how to access the best that you can get from the information available to you. We are no longer living in an illiterate society. We are living in a post-literate society. Everybody knows everything, and for politicians, this is a headache.
Thank you, Dr. Johan. Thank you, Dr. Farid. Thank you, Encik Muzaffar, for the questions. And thank you very much Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun Dr. Mahathir. Appreciate Tun to remain on stage. On behalf of Maybank, we would like to invite Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Saleh, Vice Chairman of Maybank, to come on stage to present tokens of appreciation.
Good for you, chocolate.
For you, sorry.
May I have a speaker, please? Yeah. Anyway, on behalf of everyone here, I wish to express our sincere appreciation to Tun. And I'm sure, even though Tun keeps saying he's not a banker, but in the process today, he told you how to manage risk, totally, remember? Know the new product, talk about project management, go back, tell them forward, everything, right? So with that, I think we have learned a lot today. Again, thank you, Dom. Thank you, Tun.
To the end of our series today. I hope you have gained valuable insights and that you will turn the insights into action on behalf of whatever you learn today. So on behalf of Maybank, I would like to thank again Yang Amat Berbahagia, Tun Dr. Mahathir, and fellow Maybankers for helping make this Guru series a success. Can we have another round of applause, please?